Good morning. I am back again with another video to share with you guys. And this is a video that I've been wanting to make for a long time, and I'm finally getting a chance to do it. And I think it's also very telling because this coming March of 2026, I will have had this channel now for 10 years, which is crazy to think. But my Instagram account it turned 10 this past July. And so I wanted to show you today my 10-year planner evolution. I've always been a planner and a journaler. I've had journals, ever since I can remember growing up as a teenager. And, the planners, those agenda books that we used to get in grammar school, I always had a love for that. But in my adult life, I really didn't get back into it until after I had my son, my oldest. And when he was 3 months old, in July of 2015, I rediscovered my love for all things planning, journaling, and just really trying to make an attempt to get my life more organized and feel like I had my stuff together. So for the purposes of this video today, I kind of like to think of my evolution divided into 3 parts. First is the Erin Condren era. Then it is obviously, and this is how most of you found me on here, were the bullet journal videos. And this is when I started this channel. So these are all my Leuchtturm or Archer and Olive bullet journals from April of 2016 to the end of 2021 when I had my youngest. And then the era that I'm in now is the Hobonichi Cousin era and weeks. I've had some weeks sprinkled in, especially like during COVID and stuff. I had a little weeks. And obviously we're going to soon add to this pile 2026. So I'm still, obviously, if you saw my video last week, I am still in the Hobonichi era. So the first thing before I get into my planner evolution here is that for anybody who's planning, it's not a linear journey. It's going to fluctuate with whatever season of life that you're in. And that is okay. I think, we try to find such planner peace and it takes a while to get there. And it's not going to happen overnight. And that's the best thing is like you experiment. And I think with the bullet journaling era, was really a time where I was able to figure out what worked for me and what didn't work for me. Also included in this era was the, I think I have it here, the teacher bullet journal that a lot of you educators had discovered me also, where I basically I implemented parts of bullet journaling and I used them as a teacher when I did go back to work for a little bit before I decided to stay at home. So I'm not gonna flip through every one of these because we'd be here all day. I'm just gonna kind of give you some highlights of what I've learned throughout the last 10 years. And that the constant thing about planning is there's going to be change. That's the constant, is that there's change. And that's okay. You go with the flow of your life, and it's okay to pivot and try something new. And obviously at the end of 2021, when I was 3 kids in, I realized that I had to kind of step away from the bullet journaling in the traditional sense and go into something that was a little more practical and time efficient. And so I've been here now, and who knows where the journey is going to take me. But we're going to go back to the beginning now. And I'm going to show you the Erin Condren planner that really kind of started it all for getting my love of planning. And then we're just going to take it from there. So let's move on. Okay, so this was the Erin Condren that started it all. This took me from July of 2015 to roughly April of 2016, and then from that point on I had gone into the traditional bullet journal in the Leuchtturm. So I had gotten this, I had seen Erin Condren on Instagram, and I was like, ooh, what's all this about? This was very bare boned, but I will say this is that this was my very first week ever in the middle of July, and this is when I started my Instagram account. in July of 2015. I love a vertical layout, and that was, you know, that's been tried and true for me. Even when I experimented in the bullet journal with like horizontal layouts and stuff, I love a vertical layout. I think just that's how my mind works. So again, it wasn't very structured. I just kind of did to-do lists and things. This is when I was really into shopping at different sticker shops. This is when it was really, you know, I was definitely a lot more decorative in the washi. I still have stickers here. This is like nowhere. I mean, I really went all out. I really found this very therapeutic at the time. So just a quick flip through. So yeah, but then I did realize too that like all my son's like milestones and things, it was very, I don't know, there's a lot going on here, and that's okay. I thought it was very fun, but I did find that the stickers were getting a little expensive, especially as I was on maternity leave, and I was like, you know what, it's beautiful, but this is not, I don't know, sustainable. Yeah, my son's like 6 months old, and now he's going to be in middle school next year. This is insane, guys. So, you know, this is kind of how this went in the Erin Condren. I did a basic monthly, but there was nothing really other than the to-dos. And I really find that now this is kind of like, not that it's hard to follow, but there's just so much going on, and it's like, I don't know where my eye wants to go first. So this is kind of how this went in Erin Condren. And I had gotten all the stickers, Planner Society. There was another shop. I had Aloha Doodle, the Christmas card lists. Yeah, I really tried to make it obviously very seasonal. So, and some of these are like really sticky here. So then February, very Valentine's Day like, and I haven't really seen these planners, and this may be the first time I've opened this up. Oh, and then I had done like sleep training, I think I had kept track of that too, now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah, I was sleep training my son. Wow. So this brings us to really the end of Erin Condren here. Yeah, I still have like the April thing here. And I think April was the last full month in here. And then by May, that was it. I was already into bullet journaling. So this was Erin Condren. I barely used any of, I didn't even finish this. So that just goes to show you how much I really got into bullet journaling. And we're going to start from the beginning here. I'm obviously going to show you the first bullet journal because this is the one that really started it all. It's so faded, you can't even see. I did write on the spine later on. So this is bullet journal number 1 from April 2016 to October. So this only lasted me 6 months. But this is where most of it, like, this is like so shredded. Oh my God. But this is where it started it all. I was so like into this. I had headers. A lot of this was like, I don't know if you remember her, boho berry inspired. Yeah, there she was. But I did my own little twist on it. I still do a version of a currently page in the back of the Hobonichi, if you guys saw last week. Level 10 life, recipe log, all the things. This was when my son turned 1. I did like April memories. I did doodle challenges. I tried all different calendars. Yeah, and this was my first ever daily, March 28th, 2016. So yeah, and this is where I was really bright and colorful. I loved all the things. And this was like the perfect marriage, bullet journaling, of productivity and creativity for me. I was able to really feel like I was getting stuff done, but it gave me a creative outlet that I so desperately needed at that time, being a new mom and trying to kind of find the things that made me me, if that makes sense. So yeah, then we got into, this is like, I was just really trackers, doodles. This was just so fun to do. It was so fun. And this is when my YouTube channel like took off, and like I didn't even have enough room. I was so shocked. It just really took off. I really experimented. I got inspiration. This was from like a greeting card. Shopping list. I did, yeah, with a Post-it note. Yeah, this was so fun. This is so fun. Let me see, there's, oh, Dutch door. I'm gonna flip ahead here because this is kind of all. I'm still like so proud of some of these spreads. The vertical Dutch door. I remember this had gotten so many views. Yeah, I just really experimented here, and I absolutely loved it. Yeah, this was such, you know, then I started hosting doodle challenges with Christina77 Star. That's not her handle now anymore. I think she's Square Lime Designs. Yeah, so this brought us into October. This only lasted me 6 months because I was just all about doing all the collections pages and all of that. So that was bullet journal number 1. Bullet journal number 2, November of 2016 to July of 2017. This is kind of like the same. Really just kind of, you know, yeah, this was like the shopping list with the Post-its. A lot of the same here. Not really much. Son's second birthday party. Yeah, so this is kind of like the same. I was playing around with mood trackers. Yeah, this is kind of like nothing really of note for here. Bullet journal number 3. Kind of the same as the other two. Playing around with different layouts. Trackers. Yeah, this is like some weeks. This is when I was back in school working. So obviously like this was just I did not really like this bullet journal compared to some of the other ones. Because it was just it was more minimal, and it's not really me. See, March, I kind of get back into the groove here, 2017. And then I think this was when, yeah, so this is when I was pregnant with my daughter, Eva. So these spreads I remember were very helpful for new moms, hospital checklist, and things to do before the baby gets here. And then in May, I had her in May, and I was doing her feeding, her diapers. I remember that. That was also very helpful for a lot of new moms. And I think this was kind of the end of this one. Yeah, this was the end of, in June of 2018, was the end of bullet journal number 3. All right, and then bullet journal number 4. This was a great one. This was, I think, was this the one of the Dutch doors? Yeah, I think I did so many Dutch door layouts in this one. This is when I mean, I loved Dutch doors. I had done like kind of like a celestial theme here. So this took me from July of 2018 to May of 2019. So almost a year. And I had done like trackers. I had done July memories. This was one of my favorites. This was like so cute. It's like the whole month in one thing. I loved this so much. This is when I had a partnership with Crayola. This was fun. And I used their highlighters for the month. That was really fun to do. And then September, I just loved working with different color combinations. Another Dutch door layout. So fun. October. This was another Dutch door. Had all of the, yeah, this was the bullet journal of the Dutch door. Yeah, Eva's First Foods. Yeah, this is another, I loved the Dutch door. I was in my Dutch door era here. December. Yeah, I did like a little doodle down. I did like these little doodles, like a little advent calendar sort of a thing. Yeah, these were fun. This was like a mood board thing I printed in here. Yeah, all about Dutch doors. And we're so easy and efficient too. Now that I had 2 kids at this time. February. There's another Dutch door here. Yeah, so I did like weather for the whole month. It was so nice to have like a whole overview. March. April, very similar to February. May, yeah. So these were so fun. These were such fun spreads. Yeah, Eve transitioning her from milk to solids, and that was it. That was that. Bullet journal number 5. This was like the orchid theme in the beginning here. Weekly meal prep. I had done a whole thing to like kind of brainstorm monthly themes here. So this is kind of like a really good overview of what I did for the whole bullet journal, because this was from June of 2019 to May of 2020. So this is just, yeah. So these were all the themes. I'm not going to flip through this whole thing. So these were basically all of the themes here. Go back to that. Yeah. So ice cream, flamingos, like a cityscape, fall, a knitting one, which was so fun. Like vintage bells. We did like an Art Deco kind of thing to ring in 2020 because new decade, new year. Yeah, we all know how that went. And then we did like this more minimal like coffee mug thing. And then here was the rest. These were like Lucky Charms, like a peace thing. What did I do for May? June was kites. Oh, May I did like a tie-dye. Yeah. So that was it for this. Okay, so then the last 2 bullet journals here, this took me all through COVID. So this was all the rest of 2020. This was in an Archer and Olive notebook. And this didn't really last me very long because the pages are thicker, but there's less pages. So this brought me to the end of 2020. I did like a Harry Potter kind of theme here, November, Halloween, sunflowers for September, more like a nautical thing, August, pineapples for July, and June was like kites and stuff. Yeah, again, kind of get an overview here. So this took me to the end of 2020. Goodbye, 2020. And then the last bullet journal, which was my favorite, was 2021. And this is where I really feel like I got into my groove, where I did bullet journal number 7. So yeah, January 2021 to December 2021. This was the year that I got pregnant with my youngest, Ellie. Complete surprise. But she was born in December of 2021. So this kind of carried me to the end of the bullet journal era. This is like one of my favorite bullet journals though, because it was very cohesive. I had a solid theme all throughout. I had a word of the year, which was bloom. I had gold. I just loved the aesthetic. So this is kind of the overview. I picked a different flower for each month with its own. We got the colors, the Tombow colors. I did like doodles to kind of like practice how I wanted to do this, and it worked out so beautifully. and I really just, I think this might be my favorite only because of the cohesiveness, and there was just an overarching theme. And I just loved that it kind of went into a gradient. We went from like purples and we worked our way like through the rainbow to like light pink at the end. And I just found this really stunning. I did like, my yearly overview, and then this is where we get into, it was just beautiful. I think this was just like the perfect way to finish out this bullet journal era. Look a little like, I mean, come on. This is, it was so beautiful. Then this was Wisteria theme. This was when Bridgerton just came out and it was huge. So we did Bridgerton, like inspired like the Wisteria flowers. So, and it was just like one color. It was like no fuss. March was hydrangeas. And it just looked, I just loved how this looked. We had like ferns for April. Dandelions for May. June was ranunculus, I think, something like that. July, we had daisies. I loved this one so much. August. September was what, marigolds maybe? This was down the shore. Some journaling. Yeah, I mean, this is my favorite. If I had to pick a favorite bullet journal. And I really love drawing flowers. I learned. My favorite layout. And obviously this is, I think, why I love the Hobonichi so much. All right, so the rose is December. My daughter's born. And I realized with 3 kids that there was not going to be time for me to do this. Which brings us to the Hobonichi era. 2022. Oh, that's 2023. Oops. I'm not going to show you all of these because they're all pretty much the same. What's there really to show? But as you can see, going from 2020, this is the end of 2021, 2022, not much has changed. I love the vertical layout. The only difference is with the dailies. I mean, this is pretty much how it still looks. The only thing that changed is this. So when my daughter was born, I tracked her feedings, and that's pretty much it. And the gratitude was up here, and I wrote the day-to-day stuff. I still print out the vellum paper, Coffee Monsters Co., and all of that. Not much has changed. And I've been doing this from 2022 into, 2023, same thing. And at this point, it's just been marking and documenting my kids' milestones and the day-to-day. This was last year's 2024. Yeah, and I've been using the Coffee Monsters Co. stickers for all of these things, just to keep cohesiveness, and it's been working out beautifully. This is 2024, so I've been gratitude and a snippet of the day. And then obviously last week I showed you my 2025 and how that's been going. Again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I have found my system here now with 3 kids. Also, I did, like I mentioned, I did have like a Hobonichi weeks. This was 2019. There's a lot of pictures in here, but I used to do like doodles in here and things like that. So I did have a Hobonichi weeks at some point too, to to coincide. But the point being is that it's going to change with the seasons, and it's okay. You're going to find a planner system that works, and you just go with the flow. And I am very proud of myself that I have stuck with this for so long. It has been such a grounding ritual for me every day to sit here and like clear my mind and write down what I need to do. And also, like I said, to document the day-to-day with my kids and the family and what's going on and all of that. I was a history major and a history teacher. So I find the true significance of documenting things. That's just in my nature. I really like that. And going back years later and having things to read about the day-to-day things that we might forget. But I really feel like it's so important to document and the day-to-day, because even though we might not think it's all that significant, you know, years from now, I'd love for my kids to be able to, like, you know, they have a box full of my journals and they can just kind of read what it was like on a day-to-day basis. So that has been my 10-year planner evolution. It's changed as the years have gone on, and it's taken different forms, but at the end of the day, it's something I still love to do. And I am so excited going forward now, as in March, we're going into the 10th year of this channel, that you'll just keep seeing the evolution as time goes on. So if you have any comments, any questions on anything, please leave a comment below, like and subscribe, and until next time, bye.